Joe.
Hi, it's Pete the Hipster King from the Hairy Game Lords with another one of our lockdown sessions. So we've been playing Theurgy from Ministry of Meeples, and stay tuned and we'll tell you what we thought. Oh my days. Second time playing Theurgy. First time was with the real physical game, the prototype, almost a year ago to the day at Aircon. Dave and I got to play with Oliver and Charlotte, and they showed us the game, and we loved it back then. We just played a very short sort of first 20 minutes of the game, introducing us to how it played. This time we got to play to the end of the game and announce a winner, and I loved it. It's just such a good game.
Just to spill your guts, Pete. You know,
I'm going to
put it out there. Tell people a little bit about it. You know, tease them a little bit,
flirt with you a little bit. I loved it. I can't help it.
Right at the end. Not just spill your guts in the first 30 seconds.
I'm a heart on my sleeves kind of guy. I'm sorry, but when you see a game, when you get a game that is just, it's just so well done. For me, this is what Kickstarter is about. These guys are just two really nice guys, Oliver and Charlotte, have made their game. They've taken it around the conventions, put it up onto up online, and now it's on Kickstarter, and they've funded, and I'm so pleased for them because this is a game that deserves to fund. It's brilliant. Somebody tell them about what the game does.
This does feel like a game from a much bigger company in the nicest possible way to them. Yeah. It's just really tight, really well done. Simple to play because basically you've got 4 actions and that's it. There isn't a massive, great big rule book to learn. It is you can do one of 4 actions. So you can go on a pilgrimage, which is basically move one of your guys from A to B, and you've only got 2 types of meeple on the board. You've got your acolytes, and you've only got 2 of those, and then followers, which are cubes in the game, unless you go all out on the fancy meeples. And basically, you're trying to move your acolytes around the board, get more and more followers, summon gods and monsters, which is really, James was the Beastmaster, just summoning monsters everywhere. It was absolutely insane. But yeah, pilgrimage, you move your acolyte from A to B and get some more followers. Dead easy. Spread the word. You're getting tokens around your little clusters of guys in your villages to make people more on your side than rival gods. Again, dead easy. Divine intervention, you get to play cards, summon monsters, perform miracles to make everybody worship your god rather than those wicked, evil, false gods over there. Dead easy. And then test the faith. If you've got the most influence over an area, you get to build a temple. And the aim of the game is to have more temples than everybody else. You can also pull down other people's temples and build your own, which got to love that. And those are the 4 actions. It's dead easy, but again, the thing that I really enjoyed about it is there's loads of interaction. Euros can be a bit dry, and Pete's over there in his corner doing his thing, and I'm over here in my corner doing my thing. James is over there, his corner doing his thing, and we meet at the end and compare scores. This isn't like that at all. There's a real push-pull of my acolytes going into his territory, converting his followers over to mine, and the board's quite small, deliberately so, but it means that you have to interact with each other. It's not quite as nasty as some sort of area control games, but you have to be on the ball, you have to be defending your territory and your temples, and it's just, everything just works. There's a lot of games you go, oh, yeah, that was really good, apart from I wasn't sure about that bit, or I wasn't sure about that. They've obviously put a lot of time and thought into polishing it, and probably going around the conventions for a year sort of helps. But it just, everything fits and everything works and everything. You know, in a game when stuff just makes sense and you're not there going, yeah, but why does that happen? It's just natural and it just flows. And at the end of the game, I think 3 of us were 1 turn away from winning. So we were there going, right, I can do this, and then I've won. All it has to do is get round to my turn, and then nobody can stop me.
And also, it's got to get round to your turn without the other players doing other stuff that might harm your plan.
Stops you.
Which, of course, is the thing that's the killer.
That is the tricky bit. And unfortunately, it wasn't my turn next, so I didn't win. But the fact that 3 out of 4 people were 1 turn away, and Pete played as well.
And I was
3 out of 4 people.
I almost gave you 2 turns the other way round, Dave, but I was only 2 turns away. I was close.
Yeah. So it was just really tight. And there was a lot of ebb and flow as well. It wasn't tight all the way. There were times when I was like, that's it, I'm miles behind. There's no chance of, actually, if I do this, and suddenly you're back in the game. So there's not really that point where you go, well, I'm pretty much out of this game now. I might as well play Kingmaker. You always feel like you're in with a chance because you can.
I mean, as long as you're
somebody
playing
might be
reasonably well.
somebody might be on the verge of winning, but all of a sudden you tear down one of their temples and build one of your own. You're back in it.
Yeah.
So no, I'm absolutely blown away by this. And yeah, it's an instant back from me.
It's a really solid area control game. And I think there were 2 standout feelings for me through the entire game. So the first feeling is, that feeling when you got, and that in the next turn you could win if nobody notices, or if it just goes your way and you've got that kind of quiet burning inside, and then you're like, flipping Pete with his followers everywhere and stuff like that. The other feeling that I had, and like, I'm not a massive area control guy. Like, it's an aggressive game. I'm a lovely guy. I don't really like getting up in people's.
I love an area control game. I'd just like to put in there.
The other thing that I really loved about this game was it scratched that engine building itch for me as well. So Dave mentioned it. I got a heck of a lot of monsters out on the board. Like, if you do it, you control it. And every time you go back to the action of doing miracles, the action of doing monsters and immense titans upon the board, every time you go back to that action, you get to activate all of your monsters, which was so good. And so I'd got myself a little engine. So over in the mine, there was a zombie and a vampire, which just created followers for me. I had a little undead army of worshippers, and it was lovely.
And vampires or vampire zombies, yeah.
And there was one point where there was a werewolf that was just casually eating Pete's guys, just slowly.
Which was really frustrating because one of the other bits that I really like about the game was there was an asymmetry to it. So although you've got 4 actions, each of the gods has something special that they do with one of those actions. So they get to do it twice, or they have a little bit more extra power around one of those actions. But the other thing that you have is at the start of the game, you're given 2 end game conditions that you can pick, you kind of pick from. And so the way the game plays, depending on number of players, there are basically 3 ways the game ends. You have a total number of what they called temples. You have 1 less than that, but you've got one of the temples in the citadel, I think, which is the central one.
Yeah, the capital. Yeah.
That one.
And the other one, I know I might have got the order of these round, but the other one is 1 less again, and you've completed your sort of mission, whatever that mission is. My mission was to have 1 believer in every single temple of every player. So I had to spread
yeah,
my believers
people just went on
all
a
the way,
mad, like diaspora.
But the problem was then, of course, like they're all just ones on their own, so people are just picking them off all the time. So I'd be really close, like, and I'd got 5 temple, or like I think I needed. I can't remember the way you have to do it, but I was like, I'd got 4.5 temples. I probably needed 1 or 1.5 extra temples, which I felt I'd got enough in my hands to be able to do that. But I had to keep these individual followers in all these spaces all over the board where I had no real influence and no real power. And people were just like, no, I'll kill that one, just convert that one, just convert. And so it was but my other option to win was to have had none of my temples destroyed. And in this game, that's relatively unlikely to happen. You've got to really work hard to manage to keep your... I suppose Dave kind of managed it. I think I destroyed one of Dave's or flipped it, but
no, I don't think.
I was going
to.
to. Maybe that was my plan to win, was to destroy a couple of yours. I was working my way around the bottom of the board to try and get to you to destroy a couple of yours to flip the victory, but didn't happen.
See, my mission was, I think, to have less overall faith than everybody else, which I was working towards fine. But again, you can flip tokens and lose faith of yours. And I was doing well of having like a fairly compact area. And then Pete just interrupted by starting to lose, which then made me
sorry, Dave,
have more faith than him, which destroyed my endgame. So cheers for that, Pete.
I don't know if you knew, my secret mission was to have basically, like, I just wanted to be pure. I wanted to keep all of the colours out of my temple areas. And I was one turn away from winning with it. And then Pete's like, everywhere.
Yeah, Pete was just like...
Here are some of my believers.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. And that just shows you how nicely designed it is, that the way that we had picked our things was directly going to have it, create interaction between us. One thing I felt about this, that some interactive games or games with player interaction feel really aggressive. And although this was quite aggressive, it didn't feel... There are times when I felt quite put out in games and quite, you almost feel got at. And it's kind of, actually, that's not always that enjoyable. And you kind of... That's just me personally. It's not my favourite type.
It's a table flipper.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a table flipper. I've never flipped a table. I just want to make that clear. And I usually get over myself pretty quickly when I go that way. But there are times when you know you've lost and you're losing, and the other person... That's not mine. I don't find that enjoyable. There was a real ebb and flow, and even though I knew I was last, I still felt that, given a couple of lucky turns and a couple of strange decisions, or a couple of people fighting one of the other team, trying to stop James from winning, might have let me... All that would have taken would have been a couple of turns, and I could have got back into it. And I think that ebb and flow was beautiful. It really put me in mind of the way Innis works, because the sort of escalation towards the end game you get in Innis as well. I thought that it got that, but a very different game mechanic in terms of how it creates that. But it did put me in mind of that a lot.
It's got that feel.
Yeah, if you like that kind of game, this is definitely one to check out. I say player interaction without being too nasty. I like that. It is a thinky Euro, though. It isn't, in terms of this is not a rolling dice and being nasty to each other game. It's strategy. It's kind of, I would say, almost...
It's quite pure strategy as well.
It's almost chess-like. In that respect, I don't feel it's like chess, but it's got that kind of, you really have to think about what you're doing and what your opponent's doing. The beauty is, I don't think you could learn moves to win, so it's not that kind of set.
But there's the chaos in there from the cards.
Yes, so you do have some luck.
Miracle cards enough, because miracle cards are so varied, and I think one of the things I love about the miracle cards is they're really powerful, but they don't feel like they break the game. I really like it. Yeah, sure.
Because Ange isn't here, the artwork, especially sort of the oversized tarot cards of the monsters,
brilliant,
is absolutely gorgeous as well.
Yeah,
so it's got fantastic gameplay and really, really nice artwork.
And in terms of the Kickstarter, It's funded. It should have done. I'm so glad it has. This is a really, really worthwhile. This is worth the investment. It's a brilliant game. I've been blown away by it. These guys have, it sounds like, if you like thinky strategic games,
I think you're getting an awful lot of game for your money. And for people that like that sort of thing, there is a Uber pledge with all sorts of fancy meeples and what have you. Some of the fancy meeples are stunningly fancy. So for those meeple collectors out there, this is the one for you. But,
I'm a meeple fancy. What's the meeple
I'm
fancy
going to embarrass. I'm going to embarrass myself by gushing too much if we carry on much longer.
Yeah, no. So final roundup then. For me, Theurgy, a brilliant game, so clever, really nice level of strategy, but based on 4 simple turns. So it's not. The depth is in the strategy of the game, not in the rule book and having to learn. It's not complex. In that respect, it's a simple game to play with a hell of a lot of depth in its strategy. So massive double thumbs up from me. I'm backing this all the way.
Quite simply, to be honest, this is a top 10 game. So
drop the bomb.
Stunningly fancy. And for me, it's a solid area control and scratch the itch of engine building and just destructive monsters. Oh, just monsters everywhere. Like, I love it. So yeah, double thumbs from me too.
Remember to like and subscribe to the Hairy Game Lords if you like what we do.